Hey guys, Monty Hooke here, and I've got my main man, Steve Fallon, on the other end of the line. I'm over in Manila. Steve's back in Australia, and we wanted to do this video for you today because we thought it would be a great idea. We get a lot of questions at Easy VA regarding website security, best practices for marketing online, all this stuff about mobile responsiveness, etc. Now, just a bit of context, Easy VA, obviously we're the outsourcing company in the Philippines. We used to have what we call the Dream Team, where we get a lot of work done for clients who need websites, graphic design, all this kind of stuff. We have since gone into partnership with Boss Tech. Steve heads it up from Australia. He runs the team out of the Philippines. They do a brilliant, brilliant job. Steve's the lead technician, project manager, engineer. He's the brains behind the operation. So, Steve, welcome.
Thanks, Monty. Thank you very much. Great to be here.
Cool, mate. So, look, over the time, we get a lot of inquiries. We get a lot of questions about the stuff that we do for people. And we were intending to run a webinar, but we thought we'd do a video. So, Steve, if it's okay, some of the questions that have come up for people in recent times regarding websites is, what's the best practice for building a website? Because, it's 2017 and, trends change all the time. There's still a lot of people out there that don't have a mobile responsive website. So I want to kind of dig into that, why that's important. One of the main reasons for me on a personal level is website security and hosting. I've had, at any one time, I've got 15 websites online. And it's very common for websites to get hacked, and this is a real issue for people. What do they need to do ongoing to make sure that their website stays safe? Because if your website goes offline, that potentially is your lifeline, it's your business. It's your money. So, Steve, just want to do maybe a bit of a quick intro to the audience, who you are. And what's your expertise?
Sure thing. So a lot of the clients that you have probably heard of me because they would have dealt with me last year when I was actually working for Easy VA, more or less. And then as you just pointed out, Monty, we sort of broke away there and with our own business now since the 1st of January this year. So what we do here is we look after clients' websites, we build websites, and we've just introduced a new thing called a care plan. So because what you're talking about is the security, the hosting, everything like that. A big thing with a lot of websites is the updates. Now, an update is an interesting thing. Every time that there's a new feature comes out in WordPress or Joomla or whichever one of the website platforms you're using, they'll run an update. So if there's there'll be someone would have fixed a security breach in some area or something like that. They'll run another update, and then all the plugins and other bits and pieces that you've got running in your site, they need to be updated as well. So with your mobile phone, your iPhone or whatever it is. It'll ask you, do you want to run this update? And then you go, yeah, okay then. And then all of a sudden, all your apps and everything, they need to be updated too after all of that. It gets to be a bit of a pain, but you get through it. Well, your website's just like that. And a lot of people leave them and don't do that. Back in 2015, because the 2016 stats aren't out yet, there was over 360 million viruses caught and actioned, different viruses in the year. So put that into context, that's 1 million a day have been released, So what we've said is make sure that everything is secure, locked up, backed up, all that type of thing, because it's a headache. Your business, your website for your business is your 24/7, entity, really. That's what everybody looks at first.
So the bulk of the websites that are out there at the moment is WordPress, right? So 80%, 90% of people that I know, that business people, are dealing with WordPress. Now, WordPress, it's good in one sense, in that It's a universal system. You know, anybody can kind of log in and make their own changes and that kind of stuff. But it also bears some risks being that way, in that it's very easy to it's quite vulnerable, right? So you mentioned the plugins. So plugins are the places where these viruses can kind of be attacked, right? So it's very, very important that the plugins, the WordPress theme, and WordPress itself is kind of updated very, very regularly. But the issue that we've seen over the time is that people don't really get told this stuff, right? Mm. So you get a website built by your web developer in Australia or in the Philippines or whatever. They do their job, which is the building of the website. So it's kind of like building a house, right? If you build the house once, and then eventually, bricks are going to start falling off, and you've got to maintain the house. So, but people don't get told this. So what's the best practice in terms of maintaining the website and making sure that it's safe and secure? What should people be doing? Is this a once a year thing? Is it twice a year? What's the best practice?
Yeah, sure. Just going back to what you're saying about the house, when a brick falls off, you can see it. A lot of people don't actually realize what's happening in the back end of their website, so they don't even know that there's updates due. So you're right, and they come out. An update for a website can come out once a month. They can come out 3 times a week, and then the plugins, it just depends on what's being fired out there. So WordPress itself is pretty good in that the main WordPress core updates are, probably once or twice a quarter type thing, and there's a lot of smaller updates in between, and they'll have a major update, a couple of times a year. But with all the plugins and everything catching up with that, you really got to be looking at it on a weekly basis, because different plugins, like you said, they become vulnerable, and someone will find there's a hole here, we need to patch that up, and so they'll release another update. And so you have to know, you have to know how to get into the back of the login area, the admin area of your website, and then B, you have to know which order in which to update, because if you haven't updated for a long time and you just click the update everything, you could end up with the whole lot crashing, and you have a big white screen and you can't log in. You're locked out completely, and we have to come in through a different way, through databases and bits and pieces like that, and it takes ages to A, get in there and get it sorted, and B, get the find out which plugin was the issue.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really the format there. It's keep it updated.
Is this something that people can do on their own?
If they go in every week and remind themselves and look at it, yeah, they can. But there's no notification unless they go in there to see that. So
it's really something that potentially they should either get advice on, or should be left to the experts. It's kind of like back to the house again, right? The toilet breaks and you're not a plumber and you fix it. You're not necessarily, you can kind of guess that, maybe it's not going to leak anymore. But the plumber's going to do a much better job of fixing it, permanently, right? So what happens if somebody gets their website hacked? Because, this happened to me. My frustration, back in 2014 is, on our biggest website, we had a Justin Bieber video, right, which popped up randomly, a 12-second YouTube Justin Bieber video, and that was the virus, right? And it just served no purpose. Somebody was just mucking around. They hacked our website. So when people went to our website, a Justin Bieber video would show, and it literally took us months to kind of repairs, right? And I'm sure everybody's had some kind of experience with, being hacked or virus or the website going down. What do people do when that happens?
They can't do anything themselves. They've got to call someone like ourselves to come in and get that sorted. Now, if there hasn't been a backup done in ages, if they're, it just takes so long. Sometimes we just got to scrap it and start again. it's one of those things that can really affect your business a lot, and especially if your emails are connected and everything like that, your whole business comes to a massive grinding halt.
Yeah.
So, so what we've done is we've put together something that's like an insurance plan for you, which is, you know, an insurance plan for your website, you know, and it gives you a bit of peace of mind. So we monitor it. We've got some special software that we put into your website, and we monitor it for security. We monitor it for spam comments, all of that type of thing, and we give it a good old clean out. We can give it a test, you know, like when you take your car in and get them to give it a service. We can give it that service and make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do, and then regular backups and updating everything so your website is at its peak performance. Okay, so we've just released that this year called a care plan. Okay.
You raised there the point of performance, right? So another thing that happens through this, you know, through hacking and viruses and bad code is the speed, the loading speed, right? So people have a very short attention span. You know, humans are goldfish these days, and if you don't, you know, if you go to a website and it kind of loads slowly or it doesn't load at all, then that's a massive issue on its own. So is that something that's a result of, you know, the same kind of stuff? And, you know, in that maintenance, regardless of, you know, who's doing it, is that maintenance going to resolve that?
Yes, definitely.
Yep.
Do you realize, you know, a lot of people, when they build a website, they'll go in and they'll build a page, and then they'll review it, and then they'll change it, then they'll review it, then they'll change it, then they'll review it, then they'll change it. If you look in the back end, there's actually 100 different versions of that page. You don't really know that because you're only really showing the one. Okay, so our software can, you know, it can go in and clean all of that stuff out and make your website a lot quicker. You know, sometimes when you download and when you do a WordPress installation, there's 5 themes sitting in there. You're only using one. You know, so there's a lot of this.
Is that out of bad practice from the web developers? Because one thing that happens that we've seen over the years a lot is somebody gets a website built by one person, right? And then they've got one methodology, because the truth is not everybody's using the same code, the same methodology, and the same best practice, right? So someone gets a website, you know, done locally in Australia by somebody who, you know, you would is assumed that they are good and know what they're doing. And then next time it gets handed over to somebody else because the other person disappeared, they've gone on holidays or whatever, or you decided to use a company in India or whatever, right? So it's those multiple people handling the same website where it actually goes wrong, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of that. So the first part, when you're talking about, you know, you asked me if that's, you know, with like there's a few themes in there. WordPress itself ships with about 5 themes in it. Okay, so that's a standard feature, and I don't know of many web designers or developers that take that out. Okay, so, and then you're right, you know, this person will do something, especially if they're a really techie type of company that builds it. They'll change some of the code, and then there'll be 3 or 4 updates later, and that piece of code on that one plugin breaks, right. And all of a sudden it's like, wow.
So that code that the developer's doing is almost like a custom code, meaning when you do an update to the plugin or something like that, then there's a conflict and then something breaks.
Yeah, and we've seen it quite a bit this year on a few of our clients' websites that they've had it built by someone else, and it's probably been 3 years, and all of a sudden that piece of custom code has been overwritten or some in that part of the site. And then next thing, what used to be a nice video showing, there's a big hole in their site, and they're like, what have you done to our website? You know, so there's a lot of that type of thing that we're helping people with as well. So yeah, it's keeping on top of a lot of that stuff.
So the best practice really is to whoever's going to build a website or, you know, or develop it or redevelop it, they should know what they're doing in the first place. But it should be that person continuing going, so you've got some consistency, and they know the inside, they know the code, and they are the ones doing the best practice, which is the maintenance, the scanning, kind of like what you said, you know, the care plan, making sure that it's being looked after and cleaned and updated all the time. So it should be that best practice should be that one person.
Absolute best practices like that. Go to the mechanic that knows your car and keep going to that guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much the same with your website as well. But there's a lot of cases, like you said, that's not possible.
Yep. All right. So Steve, one of the things that, we've seen over the time, I guess, is that people don't necessarily use their websites correctly, right? As their go-to place. A lot of people, just use their Facebook, or, they're not directing traffic to their website, right? So of course, with the growth of social media and the explosion of social media, a lot of people are just relying on that. And maybe there's some, maybe you've got some thoughts on best practice for that, because it's still the case that people should be driving traffic to their website, right?
Sure thing. I've actually got some slides that I put together a little bit earlier when we were going to do that webinar. So I'll bring those up now if you like, Monty.
Yep, great.
So I'll just what do we do? Share the screen. Can you see that at all there, Monty?
Yep, got that here.
Okay. So there we go. This is the front of our webinar screen.
Oh, so these little cartoons are done by your team, right?
Yeah, so you'll see them a bit further on anyway, mate.
Yeah.
So key point number one, your website is your business hub, not your Facebook page. So yeah, social media, like I say, is merely a platform in which you generate leads and create a gathering. So many people I see forget about their website, and they'll just update posts and bits and pieces like that on Facebook, and forget about everything else. And that was okay probably a couple of years ago, but now Facebook's turning around. Now that it's got its a massive audience, and it knows what we're like and who we are and what we tend to do, it's taking a lot of emphasis away from those posts and putting it more into the paid stuff. So the idea with social media is to engage the audience, build your fan base, etc., and get people to follow you. But then, ideally, you then want people to click through to something at your website, because at your website, maybe you can talk about this. They've got a greater control over because at the end of the day, this is your business and you want to sell to people, right? So the best place to sell is the website. So the idea is to drive people there and then get them to take some kind of action or download something or buy from the website, right? Yeah, that's it. Now, nothing wrong with having like a secret group of people on Facebook once they've been through that and they're clients of yours, but you're wanting to grow your business as well. So you're exactly right. It's using it for a lead generation platform and directing them through to your website. Okay. So another key point is that your audience is mobile. Okay, so the social media and the mobile goes hand in hand. So you touched on it at the very beginning of this talk, that our website has to be mobile friendly as well. Okay.
So, whilst we're on that, Steve, because there's some misconceptions, I think, about mobile responsive websites and what that looks like. Because some websites you go to on your phone, they're like the homepage kind of looks good, but then everything else looks crap. Like, what's the best practice, I guess, in building a website so that it is mobile responsive? Okay,
it's got to be built on to start with, we used to have two versions of a website. Okay, there used to be the one for your computer and the one for your mobile.
So it's not like that anymore.
Not like that anymore. So now with and that's why WordPress is so powerful, because they've now turned around and says, hey, what we can do is you can do this and your website will be responsive. But even though that website is responsive, we still have to go through each different screen size and make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to do. Okay, so you can't let a lot of people will just get a website and they'll build it and go, yeah, look at that, that's cool. Look at it on their phone, that's great. and not realize that, like you say, you go into one, let's say the gallery page, and yes, it's mobile responsive, everything's small, but we've still got 5 thumbnails of an image on a screen. So you can't see that,
And you can't navigate, you can't press the button and stuff like that.
That's exactly right. So what we do is we change the menu, we change the way that an image shows, and we turn something that would have been maybe 2 or 3 pages deep on a computer, on say your laptop screen. It may be sort of 20 pages deep on a mobile, but we're used to scrolling because of the way we use Facebook, so it's not a problem.
So
everything looks right.
Let me ask you this. What if somebody's got a website from 5 years ago built on WordPress? How do they then make that mobile responsive? Can you change that? Can you, tweak a couple of things and make it mobile responsive, or is it basically a rebuild from scratch?
We can. I could say it's a bit of both, because all your content and everything's still going to stay the same. But what we do is we can change the theme and turn it into a mobile responsive website for you. Okay, it's almost like a ground up rebuild, except we're still using the same parts as before. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's just a quicker exercise.
Yeah. It's just one of those exercises that we can do. But that's, if anything was built 5 years ago or later, which probably over 50% of the websites out there, business websites are, they need to get that sort of fine tuning done.
Yeah, cool. All right, what's the next point?
The other point that I've got there is TV now is playing a big part. We bought a new television, and I was playing with my phone the other day, and I pushed a button, and then all of a sudden, without even installing any software or anything, the video I was watching on my phone came up on my television. And so they're already talking because they're both on the Wi-Fi already. So that's huge for marketing. That's huge for anyone who's got some sort of membership site with video and everything like that. So no longer do people have to sit there watching their screen. They can sit on their couch and just, their lounge room, and just watch that straight on their television, straight like that. No need for Apple TV or any of those other bits and pieces. So
for people to capitalize on that, they need to have the website built correctly, mobile responsive, so that it will work to stream to the TV.
That's it. That's exactly it. And no longer just having text on your website, starting to implement video and other bits and pieces like that. Because, people will consume your content in different ways. I know that if I can sit in my lounge room and watch it on the TV and take notes, that's going to make a huge amount of difference for me.
Cool.
Okay, next one. Traditional pay-per-click is dead.
So
I don't know when the last time. Sorry?
Pay-per-click, you're talking about Facebook pay-per-click advertising, you're talking about Google, you're talking about all of it?
Talking more about Google, okay? That's the traditional, everybody would pay-per-click in search engines and forget everything else, okay? The display network and bits and pieces like that, which is, say, your ads showing up on, say, the Sydney Morning Herald site or Gumtree or, those types of places. So I get a lot of people saying to me, look, we want to do some pay-per-click advertising. But if you do a search on Google, you'll see there's only 3 spots now at the top. Okay, because they realize that people know that they're ads, and so they're going away from them. But there's more. There's more than that. The traditional social media marketing, like we touched on before, we've already touched on that side. That's why I've got rid of that slide. The whole mindset of the social media and where you are in Google has changed, and that's been in the last year, really. So no more about just getting yourself in the first position on Google. It's about getting yourself in the first 5 positions. Yeah. Your business Facebook page, your website, your YouTube videos, and those types of things for the key terms that people are looking for you on.
So it's a bit more. So it's a lot more holistic kind of a approach now. You need to look at all the
definitely.
So let me ask you this. Yeah. So if somebody's watching this and they want to kind of get some advice about that stuff, because like the trends change rapidly, and what somebody learned in a seminar 12 months ago may be different now, right? So somebody's watching this and, maybe they're thinking, all right, cool, I've got to get myself up to scratch. I've got to, revamp my website. I've got to get all my social media in alignment so I can capitalize on this stuff. So, so you could potentially, because you've got a very well-rounded understanding of digital marketing, websites, and all this stuff. So ideally, somebody could maybe have a talk with you. You can give them some, you can check out their website, give them a snapshot, I guess. One of the things you were doing for people, are you still doing that, is giving people reports. So being able, like a product that Boss Tech has, which is looking at the website, giving it a score on its responsiveness, checking the social links and all this kind of stuff. So just talk through that report, because I think that might be a super powerful thing for people to get done, because that is a really good starting point.
It's like an SEO report, but it goes into more than just search engine optimization. So we offer a free report. You can go onto the bosstechweb.com. That's not just looking at your website and giving it just a score, but everything else as well. I also offer, for anyone that asks, I'll do a video much like this, but you'll see the screen, and I'll show you your competitors. I'll show you your site and how it all links in with your social media and everything. It's about a 15-minute long video. Takes me a lot longer than that to make it, I can assure you, because by the time I edit it and bits and pieces like that. But that gives you a really good, interesting look. You get a bit of a sneak peek at the tools that we use to look at under the covers, so to speak.
All right, so
not just at your site, but also to spy on your competition.
Cool. So step one is people need the report, which is free. You're saying it's free?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
Cool. I'll put a link up where people can go to that. Step two from that is then to have a consultation with you, have a discussion, and you can kind of walk them through on the video and do all that.
That's right. Cool. That's exactly it, and that's no obligation whatsoever. I'm happy to hand it through. A lot of people do engage with us from there, but you have to qualify for that. We don't sort of work with everybody. If I think it's too hard to market, I'll just say can't do it. Sorry. Okay. Cool. So, yeah. Right. Next slide, Zoe. This is where we're talking earlier that your website is a target, and 2015 over 1 million viruses were detected a day. So look after it with an insurance plan. So
do you want to? Have you got any points on kind of talking through what that looks like?
What the care plan looks like, yeah. Monty, or
yep.
Yeah, sure. I haven't outlined it at all in the slides because I wasn't not wanting to sort of sell it to anybody.
Yeah, no, cool. I think it's valuable. So yeah, maybe just list how it works. What's included, and because you've kind of talked about it as being insurance. Is that like a guarantee that people won't get hacked, or what is that?
Funny you say that. It's not something that I've ever sort of put out there to people. But when someone takes on a care plan with us in the past, it's always been it comes with a no hack guarantee. Okay, so what that means is we do backups, we do.
So hang updates. So we haven't talked about backups yet. So backups.
We haven't talked about backups?
No. So backups being where the website is copied, like recently, somewhere in the cloud, in the webosphere. So how often is the backup done? So that's like weekly, monthly. What is that?
So that depends on your website and depends on the plan that you take with us. We've got two main plans. So like just a basic website one, and then one with e-commerce. So
okay, so that happens automatically for people who are on whatever care plan they're on. So
that's correct. Care plans. Yep.
So what that means is the website is saved somewhere. So if it gets hacked, if something happens to it, then potentially you could revert back to that copy of it and then very quickly get back online. Is that what happens?
Correct. So what we do is we assess the level of traffic and the level of updates that you do. So some people do a blog every day, so we must do a backup every day. Okay, people will may comment on your website because you're high traffic. May comment on your website every day, on your blog every day. So we'll do a backup of that every day as well. And we make sure that those backups are done, they're secure. So that's a carbon copy of your website and your database, and it's put away, locked away securely. I won't say where, but it is. We've got 2 different spots that we use.
I told you, it's in the webosphere.
It is in the webosphere.
Yeah, it's in the webosphere.
Up there somewhere.
That's the dummy terminology.
It's not dummy at all, mate. It's so yeah, it's backed up into the webosphere. It's the updates are done because the last thing you want to do is have a hold on to a backup that's got old updates in it as well, and everything like that. So we do everything we can, to stop it from being hacked. We do everything we can that if it has been, we've got a nice clean version of it to be used. Now, what if your website was hacked a week ago and nobody knew? And we've gone along and backed it up. So the other thing is there's a lot of monitoring happening within the back side of there, because there's no point copying a site that's hacked and the only copies you got are of your hacked site. Okay, and that's a bit of a trap for young players. So we make sure that we've got our staff physically go through everyone that's on a care plan to make sure that everything is working right. We can tell we've got a dashboard that we use, and we can see if your traffic drops, why has it dropped? We can do all of these there's all of this monitoring that goes on to make sure that your site is doing what it wants to when you need it to. Okay, so you wanted me to outline what the functionality of the care plans. It's number 1 is the backups. Number 2 is the updates. Number 3, we do security scans regularly. When we first install it, we go through and we clean it all out and optimize it for its speed, and get rid of all the junk, duplicate posts and bits and pieces that have been, how it's been saved, everything like that.
Well, that's the bad code and the extra themes and stuff you're talking about. Right.
Correct.
So kind of like
all of that.
So it's basically the website kind of gets heavy with all that stuff, and you want to, almost strip it out like a race car. You kind of take all the weight out of the car.
That's exactly it.
Yep.
That's it. So, it gives you the optimal performance, which is like a race car is an optimized version of a road car. We're going to give you an optimized website. So we do all that type of thing now. We also give you half an hour of work that you might want done. So you might say, hey, look, I got some new photos. Can you put those on my website? You get with our basic plan, you get half an hour a month of that. And on our next plan, you get an hour. Okay,
so let's just touch on that, because this is one of the sticking points for a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people in business, which is why we started it's actually why EasyVA was started in the first place years ago, and now we've kind of handed this over to you as the expert. But one of the sticking points for people is that they need work done regularly, but it's ad hoc, right? It's not like they need it every day. They need it every week. They certainly can't justify putting in a permanent staff to manage all this stuff. So people are constantly going to Odesk or, Upwork, Fiverr, going to their local web developer in Australia. But you're dealing with freelancers, and freelancers are unreliable at the best of times. So, if you go to your web developer and say, hey, I need this new page done, and they'll charge you $200 just to look at it because that's their minimum, their minimum charge, right? So BossTech, I think it's just a good time to bring it up. But BossTech has a credit system where you can buy a block of hours, and you can use those hours on demand. Is that correct?
Yeah, whenever you want,
so
and as often as you want.
So what is the work that gets done by buying credit? So it's kind of like a prepaid phone plan, right? You run out of credit and you just buy credit again, and you just kind of use it as you need it. So what is the scope of work that gets done inside those credit plans?
Okay. So anything from, because we've got a full team at the moment, we've got 12 staff. Okay. And we've got web developers, we've got web designers, we've got graphic designers. So if you want anything done to the front end of your website, so, the public side of your site to beautify it up or to get it up to date, make it mobile responsive if it wasn't before.
So it's like the full rebuilds, and then it's the little things as well.
Yeah.
So if someone has a new ebook that they want to, get people to download, etc., you can get that online. You can create the capture form and link that to the email system, and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, certainly. So, and that's an area that is foreign to a lot of people, is the email capture system, and making up a nice email newsletter, even that to tell people that you got your new ebook out, or whatever the case may be. So any of that type of work can be done. We are starting to do a little bit of social media, because we've got a couple of people on our team that are really good at that. But mostly it's everything work that's done on your website.
Yeah. So
on those hours.
One of the things I'm always talking about, because obviously outsourcing leverage is my thing. I speak on a lot of stages around the world, and I'm always talking about how to maximize your own time as a business owner. And where I see a lot of people go wrong is by having 5 different people doing 5 different things, and you work with freelancers, and you go to that person, and they screw you around, and there's a lot of time wasted in that, right? So obviously I'm biased towards BossTech and what you guys do, but from an entrepreneur's perspective, this is a brilliant thing to have in your pocket, because you've got one team and you've got one point of contact, and they're experts in what they do, and you can, anytime you've got a task, you just go direct to that team, and there's a team of people there. So you can kind of get it done on demand, and it's not like you're calling somebody and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'll get to that in 2 weeks," kind of thing. It's like you load a task in the system, and you'll get some communication at least back straight away that says, "Great, allow us 3 days to finish that. We'll have that for you tomorrow. This is going to take X amount of hours. Allow us 2 weeks or whatever if it's a bigger project." From an entrepreneur's point of view, that is a brilliant thing to have in your pocket. I just want to give people that advice.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. And most of the work that comes through is not of the urgent kind, which is great, because a lot of our clients realize that hey, look, we only need this sort of turnaround in 7 days, but we know that stuff happens, yeah. And we've had people that have gone, "Gee, we forgot about this. Can we have a really quick turnaround?" And a lot of times, because we've got a really cool understanding with all our clients, we can shift things around, slot it in, get it out for $20 an hour. It's great,
So the BossTech team is kind of like, it's if you like, a hybrid between using VAs in the Philippines and working with a high-end agency in Australia, because obviously your stuff. People are working with you on the front end, so it's kind of like a hybrid where you get the expertise and the best level service of working with an agency in Australia, but it's very cost effective because your team is in the Philippines. But they're trained by you. They're working from a secure office, and they've got internet and all that kind of stuff. So.
Exactly that. And there's a lot of times I'll see, because we run a system that is really transparent, and a lot of times a client will put something in there, and I'll see it, and I'll jump in and say, "Hey, look, I've actually got. Let's have a Skype conversation before, or a telephone conversation before the team gets started, because I've got a couple of ideas that I think that might make this run a little bit better, and they get that. There's no hourly charge for that, So they come out with a consultation, and they're getting the work done. So it works really, really well.
Cool. All right. So look, we could probably keep going on for ages. I don't know what further points you've got, but I got two more quick things, if that's okay. I'm kind of coming from the perspective of me as an entrepreneur who's not an expert in these things, and there's a lot of people out there in the same boat, right? One thing that I just had my mate in Australia come to me the other day. He's had his website with a Canadian company for the last kind of 8 years. Now, what they did is they built his website very, very cheaply. right? But then they put him on this expensive hosting plan. So he's been paying, I think, $80 a month for the last 7 years or something like that. And then we kind of did the numbers, and he spent a lot of money on hosting. So it's kind of a trap that's a trap that, I don't want to point fingers and, say that, people are doing the wrong thing. But it kind of occurs to me and that a lot of people get caught where they get a website built and that person, that company does the hosting as well. Then they kind of control everything, right? So if you wanted then to move your website away to a company like Boss Tech, or you want to manage it on your own or whatever, that company has full control and they kind of hold you under the thumb because they want the ongoing, right? They want the hosting. So, I just have you got any points on that? The reason I kind of raise this is because I know a lot of people go through this kind of pain. So, what do people do in that case?
The biggest thing is they've got to sort of, hopefully the person that they were hosted with is big enough to say, hey, look, we've made some money from you. You want some updates done, you want a shift, that's okay. There's not a lot we can do if they sort of hold the keys to everything. So one of the things that I say to my clients is make sure that you own your domain name, okay? Because they can't hold you ransom, at least for your domain name. If you lose your website that you've paid all this money for, you can't get that money back. But at least you've got the bit of collateral that you own, which is the name. Because we can always build something for you and help you out there with that name, so your clients still come through the same channel.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot we can do to a website that is hosted by someone else that they've got locked up. In the case of my friend, basically what's happened is they hold the code, right? And then they don't want to give him the code because they don't want to lose the hosting, right? So in that case, we're having to basically rebuild the website from scratch, and then he can then hold the keys. In the case of Boss Tech, when you build a website for somebody, obviously, like you said, they own the domain, and it's not always you do recommendations on the hosting, but I'm assuming that in the case of the controls, right? So giving access to the back end of the website, etc. Does Boss Tech hold that, or does the client own that as well? We have it, and the client has it. So you know how I was talking about our transparent system? All of the logins, it's transparent from my team to the client, not between clients. Clients can't look at what happens in other clients' projects, yeah? But within there's documents in there that are available to everybody with all of the logins, okay? The logins to their hosting. So if that's hosted by us, the logins are in there. If it's hosted elsewhere, the logins are in there. If same for the domain name, for the back-end access to the website, they can see. It helps us as well, because if we have a new team member start, we know where all the logins and everything are kept. Okay, but meaning that person has access to that. We can't lock them out.
Right. So meaning at the end of the day, the client actually owns the control. So if they wanted to, they could just pick up their website, and let's just say, their son became a web developer and they wanted to manage it. They could pick up and just go and get that managed there, and they're not kind of getting held under the thumb in the case of like my mate had.
No.
Yeah,
no.
cool.
And anyone that knows me tells you that, will be able to tell you that I don't operate like that anyway.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was critical to bring up because I know that's the frustration of a lot of entrepreneurs. So
yeah,
I've
seen it. I've seen it myself, and people say, "Oh, I can get that done for $600." I mean, yeah, okay, $600 is a cheap website, and then we find out they're paying you, like you say, $80 a month, and then they go and try and change things, and they can't. And it's either stop paying the money and lose your site. I had a person the other day that had exactly that same thing in Brisbane here, but the company that they went from were really good, and they didn't try and hold them ransom or anything. But what looks nice and cheap at the front sometimes isn't,
Yep.
So just it's a buyer beware type situation there.
So look, if people want to get in contact with you, Steve, if they look, we'll put the link up, I guess, to the website where they can check stuff out. If people want to get in contact with you, how do people get in touch?
I'll put my phone number here as well. They can contact me on the mobile.
Yeah.
It's been pretty busy of late. If I don't answer, just leave a message and I'll get back to you. So my mobile number will be here, and the website is here also. You can actually, in the bottom of the Boss Tech website, there's a book a call button, and it goes straight to my calendar. So if you click on it, and you can choose your day and what time slot you want, and it goes straight into my calendar. So if there's another call there, I won't give you the option to put a time in at that slot. It works really, really well. So that's another fantastic way.
Cool. If you're looking for a VA to help you with all that stuff, I know a really great company to help sort that out for you.
It's getting that way, Monty. I can tell you, we've been really busy. So I have actually thought about talking to you about that side of things completely. So, with these care plans and stuff, should we put a bit of a special together?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Cool. So if there's something we can do for people, because I know a lot of people watching this from the old world of Easy VA. So it would be really, really cool. Yeah, if we could do something as a gift for people, or yeah, what's your suggestions?
I haven't thought about it yet. So our care plans are $99 for our base plan, and for e-commerce, sorry,
that per month?
Per month, yeah,
oh, okay.
Yeah, which is pretty cheap insurance, really.
Yeah.
Especially with the no hack guarantee.
Yep.
And $199 if you've got a high traffic site or e-commerce, which is, if you've got e-commerce on there with WooCommerce and that, there are a lot more plugins and everything that we have to deal with, and there's a lot more complexity with that. And, it takes up more of our storage space when we back up and everything like that. So, I'm willing to offer the first month free for anybody that watches this video and signs up for a plan.
Cool. So to avail that, they should have a conversation with you anyway, and probably do the free report. So look, that's an awesome offer. Thanks. But really, people have nothing to lose to just go through the process of getting the free report, having a conversation with you. And what's really great about that also is that even if they don't proceed or whatever, they'll get some great advice about what's relevant to them in 2017 and beyond. Yeah,
definitely that. So more than happy. I'm a fairly approachable sort of chap. Like to have a good conversation.
Yep. And
just give us a holler. That's no problems whatsoever.
So Steve, as I mentioned before about the credit hours, the pay-as-you-go system, you call it, right?
Man.
Where can people find info about that?
Yeah, we've got under the services part of our website there. There's a pay-as-you-go page, and I'll put the link to that in here as well. And in fact, I've actually got a bit of an offer that we can do for that too, Monty. What we've said to people is if they sign up, we said if they sign up by the 1st of February, that we'd lock their hourly rate in for 3 years till the 1st of the 1st of January 2020. That's been so popular.
Yeah.
We'll put that out to the end of February. So if you're a returning client, it's a former Easy VA client, with what we had with the Dream Team way back.
Yep.
Or a new client, if you sign up on our standard rate of $19.50 an hour, then you will have that locked in, because we have got some rate increases coming probably in the new financial year, so the middle of maybe June or July. So you'll be locked in at that $19.50 an hour until the 1st of January 2020. So that's going to be 3 years.
That's super cool. I just want to kind of point out the reference, the difference, I guess, to what people are paying for $19.50 an hour, which is which is pretty cheap. people are getting the same level of service of what people pay in Australia for what $80 an hour, $60 at the bare minimum if you're working with a freelancer or a contractor, 100 plus if you're working with a company. So yeah, that's super cool. Thanks. So is there anything else you want to mention before we wrap this up?
I think this is we're looking down the barrel of a fantastic year. I'm super stoked to be assisting the people we are, and look forward to anyone else that wants to come on board with us. So nothing more I need to add, Monty.
Cool. No,
just people need to keep their website safe.
Yeah, I think this has been super valuable. From I know a little bit about websites, and I kind of got the brush strokes of it. But most people are pretty uneducated and naive and don't know the nuts and bolts of all this stuff. So to have a team in your pocket, that you can kind of rely on, is a super, super cool thing for any entrepreneur, because it's never ever been more important to be online, stay online, and be high performing online, because with video expanding and that kind of thing, that just kind of increases the load on websites and all this kind of stuff. So it's super, super important that entrepreneurs in 2017 and beyond really have their shit together with their online presence.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Steve. Thanks everybody for joining. If you've got any questions for me, feel free to reach out. Connect with me on Facebook, connect with Steve, go and add Boss Tech on Facebook as well. We look forward to seeing you guys soon. Cheers, Steve.
Awesome. Thanks, Monty. Thank you very much, mate. You have a good night.